No. I think the Ministry of Agriculture, past and present, are making every effort to ensure that farmers have access to fertilizer, for example. Prior to Minister Adesina's tenure as minister, farmers in Nigeria had no access to fertilizer. And he, in 90 days, 3 months, I think I was made to understand.
That was revolutionary.
Exactly. You know the story.
It still can be done.
It can be done. But you see, he knew what the constraints were. And he had to target that, he focused on that, against all odds, because a few powerful, so-called powerful people were monopolizing the fertilizer markets in this country. Today, at least, farmers have access to fertilizer, from about less than 10% to 90% of farmers. But you see, if you look at the statistics, when we talk about agriculture in Africa and the potential, it's also basically because we are still in the 19th century when it comes to agricultural systems. Do you expect a young man who just finished college to want to go into farming if all he has is a hoe and a shovel to farm? He wants to have access to modern techniques. Our farmers are still using the simple hoe. The average farmer today in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, is 60 years old. And you got to think about it. And 50% of our population is between 15 and 25 years old. Who is going to replace the farmers of today? What is the use of fertilizer on the average? We're looking at farmers using less than 12 kilograms per hectare. In East Asia, it's over 300 kilograms per hectare. What are you going to produce with zero fertilization? How many of our farmers irrigate their crops? So we are not even maximizing, not talk about optimizing basic agricultural technologies of improved seeds. What policies do we have in place that creates incentive for farmers to invest, to buy improved hybrid seeds, to apply more fertilizers, to irrigate their crops when the rains fail? Will they have a market to sell? Or are we going to depress their market by importing cheap products? Do we have businessmen and women who are more interested in importing food to Africa, to Nigeria, than growing it locally? So our whole value system is warped. It has to change. No nation, I want to repeat, no nation was able to transform itself without first transforming its agricultural sector. And if you want to go into agro-processing and agro-industry, you have to have surpluses from your agricultural sector. It's a simple A plus B equals to C. You see?
I'd like us to close on some of these other issues. Still, it has to do with remedy. You've highlighted the problems. You've also given an insight into what can be done, and that's what I wanted us to speak more to. We've seen you've highlighted the issue of continuity, which is very key here, irrespective of who is in charge. There must be a continuation of program that has been put in place, especially that is working. And you also did say that you see some of that happening now from where Dr. Adesina stopped. Some of these issues have also been taken up by the government. Mm-hmm. But many Nigerians would love to see some form of speed and action. It looks like a slow movement, more or less like moving in slow motion in that sector. For a nation in recession, there must be some speed in all of this that you've highlighted. How best can we put that speed into action, just the way we saw that magic with the distribution of fertilizers to farmers? This is not rocket science. We're hoping that some of these things you highlighted can be done in a few weeks' time.
A few weeks' time. Well, I think definitely Minister Audu is certainly making progress. I just referred to his green alternative, which looks at, creating access for rural populations whose livelihoods is basically farming, to have basically, it's a continuation of the agricultural transformation agenda. So there is some degree of continuity there. But I also understand that, it may take years and decades to build a nation. but it may take days to destroy it as well. So if you understand what I mean, so we can make haste slowly and surely. And as I said, it's a partnership between government and population. Government alone will not build a nation. A nation is built by its people. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to support government in its policies to ensure that there's success? We cannot just sit back and say, government. Who is government? We are part of the government, the people. We have a voice. And you, the media, are very key because you are the voice of the people. Let's identify the good things that are bankable and see how we can, present this to the population and support government. And if government is not delivering, let us hold government accountable. And there has to be an accountability framework. You see, this is what other nations do. Let's take a simple case. An African nation today that is one of the fastest growing economies. Rwanda. 20 years ago, you know what Rwanda went through? 30 years ago, genocide. It was a hopeless country. It started afresh from its ruins. And it's built itself today as one of the fastest growing economies, the third fastest actually, after Cote d'Ivoire. And Senegal for that matter. And Rwanda is a 90% rural country. 90% of its population is rural. And President Kagame put agriculture in the forefront. And investments. And IT technology. I have visited Rwanda at least 4 times in the last 10 years, and I've seen the change come over. But there you have a partnership between government and population.
And such IT technology, what you can also be done here in our rural communities.
Of course,
because I recall, it was I think 2 years ago, we spoke to Paul Kagame when he came for the World Economic Forum for Africa, and we talked about the IT technology which he put in place for farmers in his country.
Yes, well, of course. That's why I gave you the example. And I'm not telling you this from textbooks. I'm telling you from what I've seen. I have traveled the world, Africa, Asia, Latin America, Eastern Europe. And I've seen countries transform themselves. I've seen farmers' organizations grow into cooperatives, big cooperatives, supplying food items and commodities like coffee to buyers in California, like cod beans from Guatemala, selling to Walmart, or farmers in India supplying Tesco spices and vegetables, or coffee and cacao from Sao Tome and Principe, supported by IFAD. These are farmers, or Ethiopian women having access to financial services. You see, it can be done.
I know all of this can be done. I really hope that we can have more time on this, but we're hoping that next time you come into the country, we should be able to look at more and see where we left off, take it off from where we stopped, or rather. It's a pleasure speaking with you, and we're hoping that the farmers in the villages will be taken into account of what the government is doing at the moment. Kanayo Nwanze is the President, International Fund for Agricultural Development. Once again, thank you for finding time to speak with us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment and we'll return shortly. Stay with us.